All right. So there's a little bit of cutscene here at the start. I'll have to skip, so we'll just get right into the game. Timer's not going to start until I skip like the second cutscene. So I'll give a countdown for the timer to start, but it's not going to start right away here. This is not Typing into Dead 1. This is Typing into Dead 2, which is the far more obscure sequel to the first game. So obscure, in fact, that despite the fact it was on the schedule as Typing into Dead 2 and submitted as Typing into Dead 2, we were going to be playing Typing into Dead 1 until about an hour and a half ago. Oh, look at that. Let me give me a cleaner countdown there. I don't know already. I didn't mean to skip the cutscene. Load back in. But Typing into Dead 2 was only released in Japan. And I'll be playing on Romaji mode, so all of the characters are going to be in Romaji or Hiragana. And I won't be skipping this cutscene, so time will start in 3, 2, 1, go. And this is based on House of the Dead 3, but instead of using a light gun to take out all these zombies, the light gun mechanic is replaced by a typing mechanic. Yes. And it plays very similarly to the first game. Graphics obviously a lot better. There are different types of zombies for me to shoot at. Especially these zombies that have those extremely long phrases for me to type are usually groups of multiple zombies, and as soon as I start typing, a timer counts down in the background. And if I don't finish it off fast enough, they break up into multiple targets, and I might have to retype some of my words all over again, or some of my characters, I guess, all over again.
Stay out of my way.
Unlike the third game, which is Typing into Dead Overkill, if there are any kind of punctuation, quotation, symbols, hyphens, anything like that, I am going to have to type those out.
How many of these things are there?
Oh! We're just in the Chapter 0, in the tutorial mission, just to kind of get used to the game. And I guess we'll see it after the cutscene when to skip, but certain levels have branching pathways, and you can pick which path you take through the level, which obviously affects your speedrunning time, affects which zombies you might see. I'm just gonna go straight down the middle. Now, unlike Typing into Dead 1, where in a marathon setting, where I wanted to make sure I absolutely, positively am going to finish the run, no problem whatsoever. I cannot put this game into free play mode. I can only get 3 credits, and I start with 3 lives per credit, and that's all I'm going to get for the entire run. So I really want to pick up as many extra lives as I can, especially early on in the game. I'd like to be able to get to the last chapter with all 3 credits intact, and hopefully a full stock of 9 lives on my first credit. 406. So even though I'm going to be taking on the zombies as fast as I can, anytime there are extra items or things on the screen to increase my score, I am going to take the time out to hit some of the bonus targets. Let's see. So those vultures can be a little tricksy. I know what you're thinking. It's just one little key you gotta push. Shouldn't be a big deal. But because this is a Japanese-based game, it's expecting certain types of input, certain types of keyboards. So for a long while, anytime those vultures had the @ symbol as the target character, it would soft lock the game speedrun over, you have to completely start the game over, because however the game inputs are, however the game accepts your keyboard inputs, it would not accept the at key. Just couldn't do it. That vulture would just take all 9 of your lives, and that's the end of the game for you. But I managed to find a way to fix it simply by switching it to a US keyboard input. It's just that option in the options menu. That's great. But that also means there's some other symbol on this in the game that my keyboard can't type. And I haven't seen what it is yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're not going to see it. Rather, I should say, I haven't seen it in a very long time. So I don't really remember which one it is. There we go.
Calm down there.
Now we're not even going to be able to finish off this big ugly boss here in this chapter. He's just going to be chasing us around for a little while. The first Typing of the Dead had 2 ways to play through the game. There was arcade and original mode, and this version is closer to arcade mode in that it lets you pick up items, keep an inventory of items as you go through the game. Oops. The reason why that category is not very popular in the original is one of the items you can get, especially after you play through the game a few times. One of the items that you get makes every key on the keyboard the correct key. You can just literally face roll on the keyboard and take out all the zombies, and you get an unlimited number of them. So for obvious reasons, it's not a very popular speedrunning category. In this game, the only option is to have the items, but you don't get the cool golden hands item. Unfortunately, 2 items I did get are those 2 stopwatches, which slow down the game, which is great. It means I can take out more zombies, and I'm less likely to take damage, but it slows the game down, and it's a speedrun. So those are not great items for me to get. So not good on item RNG, but I'm going to dump those off at I think it's the boss fight in this stage. Big, ugly mole thing at the end of the stage. There we go. Now, when my partner gets into trouble, if I can take out the zombies before he gets bit, I get a bonus life. So I want to make sure I save him as often as possible. This game throws more zombies at you that, wow, that's in set up early. There are more zombies that throw things at you in this game. There are also zombies that move around much more quickly than they do in the first game. There's actually a feature in the options menu that lets you, hold on. You can change how much the words on the screen actually move around, because if you have that up very, very high, frankly, it gives me a little bit of motion sickness, which makes it very hard to play. But some of these zombies will just be whipping around the screen, even on the lower speeds. Go, go. Now the nice thing about doing Typing of the Dead rather than the light gun version So when those bonus items go off screen, obviously you wouldn't be able to aim a light gun off the screen and shoot. That would just reload. But the hitbox for the words, if you will, is still active. So, especially for those coins, those generally tend to be the middle row, and I can just kind of mash away at the keyboard and keep hitting that for bonus points to earn another 1-up without it needing to be on the screen. There's the really old guy. And I'm going to use my stopwatches here. I'll wait till the second or the third cycle. But it's safe to use it here because the next word I need to type is already on the screen. So yes, it's slowing the game down, but I already have my next target, so it's not slowing down game progress. So if I can get to the second phase, come on. Shakes the cage like that. All these little teeny tiny targets that are a little bit hard for me to see until they get a little closer come up. I like how the stopwatch is right in the middle of the word. Thank you so much for that. That's a lot of ends. Rhythm here. There we go. Oh, he hit me anyway. What a pain in the butt. This is really long. There we go. Come on. There we go. That'll take out the boss. Yeah. That'll take out the boss. We can move on to the next chapter. This game loads a ton, and it loads very, very slowly. I thought it was just my PC. It is just a slow loading game. I can't see what the thing on the screen. There we go. I know I got a 1-up. You don't have to cover up the words. Today. So there's a dictionary in the back of the room here that I'm not going to pick up. The genre dictionary can be very useful because it makes for the next X number of words all kind of fit into some sort of theme. Which is really nice if I could read Japanese, but I have no idea what it is I'm actually reading, and sometimes the genre can be words that have many, many hyphens and punctuation in it, and that's a bad dictionary to get. So since it can't really give me any kind of context clues anyway, I'm just going to leave the dictionary there. These guys look like zombified versions of Guile from Street Fighter. We're going to see a couple of them later on. Oh, come on, dude. Oh, there we go. Another one of those. Fine. Should be getting pretty close to the boss here. Go, go, go. Here we go. So this is a fun boss against the sun. It's a big old plant. This is a multiple choice quiz, which is great because I can't read Japanese. So my strategy for this is going to be very, very simple. I get to pick a genre here. I'm going with Petto because I'm pretty sure that's pets. And then it gives me a couple of words here to type. And at some point it's going to ask me a multiple choice question that I cannot read the question or the answers to. And that top word looked like it was the easiest to type. So I'm going with it because I got a 1 in 3 shot. I guessed wrong, so I took damage and could not deal damage. What would be nice is if I could get a Seiken where I could just keep repeating this chapter, and maybe, and this would be when I'm bored and I don't have millions of other speedruns to work on my to-do list. But it would be nice to get a list of the questions and answers. I also pick the same genre every time because sometimes it'll just repeat words, which is really nice. Looks like I guessed right that time. Come on. There we go. That was a pretty good boss fight. At least got one of the questions right. But of course, it's not the end of the level. That would be way too easy. Oh, wow. We actually got kind of close. Combo.
These things are getting on my nerves.
I read that one wrong. It's okay, I'm at 9 lives anyway, so I couldn't pick up another one. Oh, and it's an I. Tried every other stick with the letter on the keyboard.
Finally made it out.
I know.
That might be my one big beef with this game is the I's and the 1s and the L's are sometimes difficult to tell apart. Which is kind of a shame because it's the type of game and legibility is kind of important. But the language barrier is part of that too.
Not even Rogan.
Yeah, this guy's back again. He's gonna be chasing us through this entire level. I don't have my splits open, so I can't remember if this is actually the longest level, but it definitely feels like the longest level. Because this guy just chases us forever. Wish I had a couple more Molotov cocktails to throw at some of these enemy groups coming up. Having good item RNG is really helpful, and I usually try and save all of my best items for this level in particular. Especially if I feel like I'm not playing as well. This is where I want to try to get through with as little damage as possible. go. These guys. Oh my gosh, they move around so fast. It's really hard to see. And again, part of it's the language barrier too, because all I'm seeing is a whole bunch of a gibberish set of characters on the screen because I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be reading. So when they're also moving very, very fast, it's hard to get any kind of context clues to work with. I did take Japanese classes in high school, but I remember very, very little of it. There we go. The game also has, it doesn't just have Romaji mode, it has a katakana hiragana mode as well, where you wouldn't get the English romanized characters to work with. It would only be in hiragana or katakana. The yen symbol is on your /
Looks like we got away.
But even if I were to play in hiragana mode, you can play that on just a regular old US keyboard. You can actually get like little stick-on stickers for your keyboard to help you visualize which symbols go with which key on a standard US keyboard. Get out of here. And we're just gonna run away again.
I knew the coin back there again.
Here's my F2 key. I do not like those tiny little flying jumping monkeys. They're terrible.
Hey, touch me there.
I'm at 9, I'm at 9, okay. If I wasn't at 9 lives, I would have thrown my Molotov cocktail there to pick one up.
Let's go up.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. So I put the game, even on the maximum highest of all difficulty settings, the game still gives you this slowdown time when he starts to swing his club. And I'm not sure why, because it's not like it's that difficult of a section to get through. So if I had a light gun, I could probably take these birds out right away. So the type mechanic is really nice. It makes the game easier in some settings, but especially for a speedrun purpose, I can't hit anything that, like if I can't see the word, I can't hit the target. Even if I can see the target and it's right there on the screen.
You just don't give up, do ya?
With this little mousy dude over here, I can hit that very easily. I don't like you. Come on. Just a little too slow. So there should be. Oh my gosh, this should be the last
Just back up already.
go through with this boss. It should be pretty close to the end of the level. Yeah, because there's the elevator, right? There we go. Then a long cutscene too. So that was like, I think it said like 6:59, 7 minutes, thereabouts. So the last level is technically longer, but it doesn't feel that long.
Things look a little.
There we go. So the last stage just spikes up in difficulty right away. If you don't get them in the right order, it's very likely you're going to take some damage here, just because it's just going to take you a while to get to cycle through your targets. And luckily you can kind of judge by the color of the border. It doesn't really trick you too many times. With that threat meter, if you want to give it a name.
We need to find a way to go faster.
This is the last stage of the game. I don't think I mentioned at the start. So getting here on my first credit is exactly where I want to be. So unless I get just played really quite terribly, should have no problems. I'm having enough lives to throw at the boss. Oh, I missed the R. Oh, come on. Go, go.
The accursed wheel of fate. Just wait.
Also, look how cool the guns are in this game. The first game is super cheesy in general, but the guns in the first game are so cheesy. You got this big old goofy Dreamcast on your back, these bright white, goofy looking guns. The guns look really cool in this one, at least compared to the first one. But you still have the Dreamcast on your back. Sazu. Kure. There we go. Go, go, go. I don't know why he frustrates me every time. He gets up that many times every playthrough. Heal. I think they're about to break up into parts. Oh, I wanted to save that. Get out of here. I wanted to save that Molotov counter for this elevator. I'm probably gonna take a hit right here. Every time, every time. I get the wrong one every time. So many ends. Heck yeah. Stop giving me so many hyphens. Oh, really? Oh, I disagree. So you 6, 6. When it throws a number just in the middle, that trips me up sometimes. The first game does not use very many numbers at all, but now we're on to the last boss. Yes, yes, yes. I know. So for the first part of the fight, each cycle is going to start out with me again having a choice of, I think, I'm guesstimating from context. I'm going to get to pick a genre once I get through this little intro stage I forgot about, but then after that, it's going to throw a couple of different waves of different types of targets at me. Sometimes it's going to be a group of 4 smaller targets. Sometimes it's going to be one pretty long word, and he's going to go in and out of... Ooh, okay, so that one just came at me. Sometimes you can only type in certain windows, and he'll be untargetable for certain phases. Like this. And I'm gonna stick with Hobie, because it's a short phrase to type, and I want to see any kind of repetition that I can, just so that it's just, got it. Because I don't want to have to be reading too many different things. If there's more repetition, it's just easier to pick up on what it is I need to type. Oh, that's an O. That was an O, not a D. But since I didn't clear the whole wave, I didn't actually deal damage to the boss, even though I got some of the other targets. So we just lost that cycle, unfortunately. Ooh, I got a stopwatch. And the stopwatch is good on the last boss too. At least it will be in theory. I don't think I've ever carried a stopwatch this far to see if it even works. So, get to see what that does. get through a phrase I need some extra time on. Alright, so I can no longer pick which genre to type. He's going to pick for me, and then this cool spinning animation. And then, what are we gonna get this time? Oh, he's gonna spend forever turning up where I can't shoot him with my light gun because I don't have one. And then I typed really badly, but that should have been an easy way to pick up. There we go. Where do you use these items? We're getting close to the end of it here. I'm just waiting for a big word to throw my items at. It's giving me all these little baby words to type. Oh. And then I targeted them in the wrong order. By accident, I fat-fingered the wrong word. There we go. Oh! Yeah, I'm getting pretty close to the end of it here. I mean, he starts throwing those waves of shorter words, which I think for the typing mechanic is just easier to deal with. I bet it's much more difficult to take these targets out with the light gun. Should just be one more cycle of this. And then there's a little bit after I finish the cycle before we call time. Come on. Yeah. Cool. So now it's going to give me another multiple choice quiz here, but all the answers are right. So I want to do what I didn't do here and pick the phrase that is the, looks like it's the easiest to type. And what this is actually doing, they're usually silly, nonsensical questions, and it's determining which ending I'm actually going to get here. So this is the last question, so as soon as I finish typing, that's time there. And if we have time, we can let the ending cutscenes play out a little bit, see which ending we get with those choices.
This is our future. We'll handle it ourselves. You've got bigger problems to worry about.
You're not my father!
This whole series has great voice acting. The third game in particular, Typing the Dead Overkill, definitely earns its M rating, but it's also super cheesy and over the top.
I began walking toward the future.
Hey, let's go! They're waiting for us.
Ooh.
Thanks for taking care of Lisa. Actually, she did a good job taking care of herself. Rogan, do you think this will change anything?
It's their future.
So this part's always the same.
Maybe nothing will change. Maybe everything will be different. We've done our part. The rest is up to them to believe in themselves and walk their own paths.
Yeah.
Even themselves. Lisa's starting to sound a lot like you.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that your idea of a joke? I guess things are already starting to change.
So this is where the ending differs depending on your answers.
What's wrong?
I've done what I had to do. Tell me, how am I supposed to live the rest of my life?
What are you talking about? You've got your whole life ahead of you.
So he turned into a zombie. The whole game was for nothing. We couldn't save anybody that we wanted to save. One of the endings is also the zombies just hijack your car. They just drive off into the sunset, leaving you stranded, trying to chase it down. And then one other neat thing about typing in a den, and we won't go through the whole thing. It's not worth the next 10 minutes going through the whole thing. But for the credits, you can keep typing at the credits. And for each little section, directors, producers, etc. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on now. Boom. So that thing that just crashed, and we're not going to go through the whole credits, was a dancing zombie. When you get through the whole credits at the end, for every chapter of the credits you type correctly, there are a whole bunch of dancing zombies. It's pretty awesome, but the credits are very long in this game, like 10 or 15 minutes worth of credits. So that's going to do it for Typing of the Dead. I think we're going to get set up for Link's Awakening. All right.